Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you everything Pokemon. And today, as you can see, we are on Showdown for the first time because today is the feature Monotype Monday, where we take on teams in the Monotype tier. Today we're doing an Ice-based team. So I'm going to give a really quick run through of the team. We've got Avalugg, physically defensive, Regice, fully specially defensive with the vest, that's really strong. Weavile with Life Orb, Mega Abomasnow, Walrein, and Mamoswine at the bottom there. Let's get straight into some battles. Unfortunately, the ladder system's down at the moment for some reason, so we're just coming up against a dark team, as you can see here, fully dark Pokemon, as it is the Monotype tier. We're going to start out with, I imagine he's going to start probably with the Sableye, potentially the Tyranitar as well. So I don't want many things to get burned on this team. We're going to go into Abomasnow to start with, as he does indeed lead with that Sableye. We're going to get the Ice up, or the Hail I should say. And I'm just going to go straight for the Blizzard, because it's pretty strong on Abomasnow. He does go for that Will-O-Wisp, unfortunately gets the miss. We are special though, so... And we get the 48%, and with the help of the Hail, we might be able to knock it out if he doesn't go for a recover here. He does go for the recover, as we just go for another Blizzard. Again, 52, we're knocking on the door on this Sableye. It's not going to be able to do much. Just go for another Blizzard here as he gets off a Wisp. And we finish off the Sableye, which is good, because that would be a threat for a couple of our guys. And it means that we don't have status on all of our walls and stuff like that. So he goes into the Weavile. I imagine it has low kick or something like that, which could be a bit of a threat to us. Could go into the Avalugg. It's ridiculously bulky on this team, and Abomasnow is good at keeping up the snow, so we are going to go for that here, even though Avalugg is quite a heavy Pokemon. He actually has the Brick Break, okay, so another fighting move that Weavile can have. But with that Ice Body and leftovers, we eat that right up. I'm going to fire for Toxic here, as it was likely that he was going to switch out. He does in fact go to the Drapion, and dodges that Toxic quite nicely. We're going to go for the Avalanche here, as he actually uses the Confuse Ray, and we get hurt by Confusion. Not too worried about that. We're just going to stay in here. He gets Toxic Spikes up, which could be a bit of a problem for us, as we get an Avalanche and pop his balloon. We can now go into the Mamoswine and threaten him if he wants to get another set of Spikes up, which he probably will here. We can threaten him with an EQ now. He goes for the Confuse Ray again, and we get confused, which is a bit annoying. But we just have to stay in here and go for it. We are able to get the EQ to finish off his Drapion, which is fantastic. He's going to go into the Hydreigon here. I do need Mamoswine to Ice Shard here. I would love it if we get this off. We get the Snap out of Confusion, which is great to get a lot of damage on that Hydreigon pretty early, which is nice. We can now go into the Walrein here. Unfortunately, we're going to get Toxic, so the sort of stally aspect of all of this Ice team is going to be a little bit ruined by these spikes. I'm going to go for a Yawn here, because I imagine he's going to switch the Hydreigon. As he actually proceeds to go for Flash Cannon. We're going to go for that Yawn, as I'm going to now switch into a Abomasnow, I think, to get some Hail going. I could also just go for the Hail with Walrein. Actually, let's do that. He's going to go for another Flash Cannon. We get the Hail up, so we can start getting some Ice Body recovery and let this Hydreigon sleep. We can now go into a Abomasnow, who's burnt, so he's not going to suffer the poison, which is fine, as he goes into Shiftry. I'm going straight for that Blizzard now, as he too goes for the Brick Break. And we're able to take down the Shiftry, so we're doing pretty well here. The Abomasnow may go down though. He goes into T-Tar, so I do want to keep Abomasnow around so that I can get free Hail off. It's about what I'm going to sack here. I'm going to go into the Walrein. He's already got the sleeping Pokemon, so he's not all that threatening to his team. So we're going to get hit by sand and poison and all that stuff. I'm just going to go for a Surf. He misses the Iron Tail, so we're going to get a little bit of damage on the T-Tar. Nothing too threatening, though, as the Status and Sand finishes us off. Our Weavile actually doesn't have a fighting move, so we don't have that sort of coverage. The Regice does, but it's pretty slow compared to a Mega T-Tar. So we are in a bit of a situation here. I'm just going to go into the Avalugg. Unfortunately, get poisoned again. Those spikes on his team are pretty crucial. I'm going straight for the Avalanche, because he might want to go into the Hydreigon just to dodge the Toxic, because he's already seen it. Let's have a look. He goes for the EQ, which is absolutely nothing, and we can just Avalanche to do a good chunk. Do have to be cautious of the poison and sand racking up. Not too long left of sand, though. We can go for the Avalanche here again, because as we saw with the Weavile, that's going to do nothing to Avalugg, so we can happily stay in here. Carry on with the Avalanche as Hydreigon sleeps, so we can finish that off. So now it's just a Weavile to take on. I'm going to start off by going for the Toxic, as he just proceeds to Brick Break, which doesn't even take us down at that percentage, which is amazing. But the Toxic will finish us off. I'm going to go into a Bombless Snow just to get the snow up for extra damage. Actually, no, the Weavile's ice, so don't worry about that. But just because, why not? Start getting the Toxic to rack up. Basically, I want to get into a position. I'm not sure if it's choiced or not, because I've only seen him use one move so far. So our Weavile's not choiced, so we would get outsped by his Weavile. So we want to get Weavile down to a low percentage. He goes for the Brick Break. It's not enough to deal with the Regice, as we can just Focus Blast for the game. So that is game 1 of Monotype Monday against a Dark team. Ice team prevails. And we can move on. Let's see what we can get this time. Hopefully not a fighting or a fire team, I guess. One thing about my ice team, I'm not actually running the Frostlass. That's a pretty common thing in ice teams, because you can take on fighting types, or at least switch in. But there's always the risk that they're just going to predict and go for a rock move, which is still super effective against like most of the ice types on the team, apart from Mamoswine, so I didn't find Frostlass to be all that useful. So we're up against a full flying team here, and we should have a good matchup against this. We're going to say good luck to our opponent, and we've got to think about who he's going to start with. He could go for that Charizard just for the early damage here, the early super effective stuffs. I'm going to start off with the Mamoswine, try and get those Stealth Rocks up, and proceed from there, I guess. We are going straight for those rocks straight away. He gets a U-turn on the Landorus, and he has Life Orb. We are going to go for those rocks as Skarmory comes in, most likely just wanting to spin away or defog. Got to think about who I'm going to go into here. To deal with this Skarm. I don't want it to get setting up loads of stuff. Probably Regice is our best move, as he does indeed go for the defog. We're going to go for the T-Bolt here, as he gets his rocks up. We do a good chunk to that Skarmory, and this turn I'm going to go for the Ice Beam in case he wants to just go into the Gliscor and save his Skarmory, because he's probably going to want to save it for the defog. And we are indeed able to catch that Gliscor, so that is amazing. The physical wall of this team gone. He's going to go into his Landorus Therian again, packing the U-turn as we've seen before. It could be fully physical, I'm not sure. He may just want to U-turn again on the switch and get the initiative. But then again, I think these things can pack like superpower and stuff like that, so I don't want to mess around with it at all. With those rocks up, I've also got to be pretty conservative with my switches in, so Don't want to go into a Bombless Snow, although I do want that hail up, because if he does just go for the U-turn, I don't want a super effective U-turn on us. I'm just going to go into Avalugg. He's our safest bet here, as he does go for the superpower, and you'll see Avalugg eats it up for breakfast. Avalugg is just so ridiculously bulky. I love it on this team. With Ice Heal and lefties, he is just a real threat. We've already seen it in the last game. The combination of Avalugg and Regice is pretty strong. It turns out that his Therian is actually both physical and special, so he's mixed. So he is actually able to wipe out the Avalugg there. He has nothing in the way of defensive bulk, especially defensive bulk. Because Therian is -1 defense, I'm going to go for the Ice Shard here, try and catch it, and we do indeed get it, which is pretty cool. He decides to go into Charizard this turn, and it could be X or Y, I still don't really know. And we got to think about what we can do here. He could go for a Dance, which would be terrible if he's an X, and he could just clear us out if he's a Y. Nothing's really a good option here. Could go into the Regice and just get obliterated. The Walreign's not really going to do much. I'm going to stay in and just hope for the Stone Edge, as he does turn out to be a Y and goes for that Fire Blast. With Thick Fat, we still can't even survive that, because under Sun, that is huge. We're going to go into our Regice and go for an Ancient Power. He unfortunately misses the Fire Blast, which is terrible for him, as we can get an Ancient Power off and just go for it again. As you can see, we could have definitely taken one. And we're able to take out the Zard, which is great, and we get the pluses in all of our stats, which isn't going to be too useful, because Regice is still slow as anything, so unless he wants to go into Skarmory, where it might actually have some use. He's going to go into Salamancers. We're just going to hope to Ice Beam here. Obviously, Salamancers is going to take us out with that Flamethrower. I'm going to go into Walrein this turn. And I'm going to go for a Hail to get Weather back on our side, as he decides to go into Skarmory. So we're going to get some residual damage and healing with Ice Body on the Walrein as well, which is very cool. I'm going to go for a Surf Edge just to scout. He might be sacking a Skarmory and just going for a Spikes or something like that. He does indeed go for Spikes, as we surf it up. Don't quite finish it off, but the Hail will do so for us, which is very nice. And we look to be in a pretty strong position at this point. Our opponent's going back into the Salamence here. I'm going to go for a Yawn in case he wants to start setting up on us. He just goes straight for the Draco, which we are able to tank pretty nicely. We can Yawn, get some residual healing and damage on our opponent, as we can now protect. And he does want to stay in, probably choiced in some way. As we can now really switch into a Bombless Snow. That might be the best play here. He's probably going to switch into the Dragonite. Let's see what he's going to go for. He does indeed switch. Now that Salamence is sleeping, we go into a Bombless Snow, get hit by Spikes and Rocks. And we could fire off a Blizzard or just go for the Seeds. I'm not sure which is the best option here. The Dragonite's probably packing a Fire Punch. Although the Salamence did have Flamethrower, and he did have a Charizard, so he might not even have that. I'm just going to go for the Blizzard and hope for the best here. He does indeed have the Fire Punch, so a lot of fire coverage on his team. I guess it is for times like this when he's up against Ice types, because he is running 2 Dragons and Gliscor that's weak to it. We're going to go into Weavile here. We are naturally faster, but again, he could be choiced in some way, which would be a real shame. We're just going to try and fire off an Ice Punch here. We are Life Orb. Jolly, I think, this Weavile is. He has the E-Speed, which we're able to tank, which I'm pretty surprised about. Weavile is not strong at all. But we go down to the Life Orb, so it's just down to Walrein here. And a sleeping Salamence. We get hurt a lot by Rocks here. Luckily, we do have that Hail to help us out a little bit. I'm going to go for a Surf. Salamence sleeps. We're doing absolutely nothing to the Salamence. The Hail is pretty much doing the same amount. We could go risky and go for the surf. That's what I'm going to go for. I feel like we need to take the risk, and luckily Salamence does sleep off this turn. We get a crit, which still does nothing. Hail comes in. Walrein heals up a little bit. This time I am going to protect. Salamence does indeed wake up. Let's see what he goes for. He goes for the Draco, so we're going to be able to tank one thanks to that lefties. Unfortunately, Hail stopped, so he might not be able to actually. Let's go for the Hail again, see what happens. It's going to be kind of stally. Unfortunately, the ice team I am running is pretty stally, but it's not a bad tactic, and he just goes for the Draco and takes us out. That is a lot of damage from that Salamence, so we weren't able to take on the flying team, with our ice guys. Let's see in a final battle for Monotype Monday if the ice types can pull through and get a 2-1 record. We're up against some psychic types here, 2 shadow tag Pokemon as well. Very big threats. So let's just go for it. I'm going to lead with the Bomber Snow as he goes into his Tifa Lockhart, which is a Medicham, of course. It could be a fake out set, probably a Mega, but he could just want to go straight for the Drain Punch, which would be horrible. I'm just going to go into Avalugg straight away, expecting the Drain Punch to come in, and it does indeed, and that did so much to Avalugg. That is absolutely disgusting. So much damage, so it means I can't even survive this. I'm going to go for the Protect just to get some more damage on, and then with the combination of Ice Body and lefties, we'll survive, and then we can get a Toxic on this thing, because this is a big threat to the team. He's going to go for a Drain Punch. We do tank it, obviously. I'm not even going to Protect here. I feel like he's going to switch and try and catch us. Oh, and he forfeits. What a shame. Okay. Seeing that it's kind of a stally team, I guess that reaction might be pretty normal for a couple of people. We may as well fit in one more game then. We have a lot of time on our hands, so we're up against another dark team with that Tyranitar as well. So I feel like Bomber Snow might be a good play here. What's he likely to lead with? Probably the Greninja, because it can turn into pretty much anything. I'm going to start with the Bomber Snow, just because it's our standard lead. Get that Hail going straight away. As he goes into Scrafty, I guess it makes sense, because it's the fighting type of his team. Could go into Avalugg here. Avalugg, just the saving grace for most physical attackers. He is going for that Drain Punch. We take it very nicely. And we are again going to try and just fire off a Toxic. He proceeds to Drain Punch again. Hopefully this isn't a Shed Skin Scrafty. Hopefully it's Moxie. We haven't seen it Intimidate, so it's either Shed Skin or Moxie. He retreats the Scrafty as we just go for the Protect here. Bisharp, being Steel type, is also a threat to us. So we can't Toxic it, which is my main first thought. I don't even feel like the Avalanche is going to do a whole lot. But we do need to protect the Avalugg. I'm going to go into Walrein as he SDs, which is a real threat now. That Bisharp is strong. I'm just going to go for a Surf as the Iron Head does 52%. We get flinched, which is not great, but the Hail stops, which is a huge problem. I'm actually going to opt to get the Hail back, but the Iron Head does take us out. I'm going to go into a Bomber Snow this turn. Try and recover this from the death. I'm going to go for a Leech Seed as we get hit by a Sucker Punch, or at least he attempts to. We're going to get some Seeds and some Hail stacking up on this guy, as I'm going to go for a Blizzard here. But we get absolutely wiped out with the Iron Head. We can go into... Oh, I really have nothing for Bisharp. Bisharp is so strong. Hopefully the combination of Seeds and Hail might want to make him switch out. That's all I can really think to do right now. He is baited to stay in as he attempts to Iron Head us. we get a lot of HP back, and this time I'm just going to hope that we can tank one and avalanche here, which we unfortunately get flinched again, so 2 flinches against this bishop, and we are really just in a horrible situation now. That flinch was absolutely huge for our opponent. We're just going to protect here as he goes for the knockoff, probably conserving his iron heads. But it really shouldn't matter at this point. I'm going to attempt to recover just in case he wants to overpredict, and he does. We're going to get a recover off, but it really shouldn't matter at this point. Actually, we can protect and actually survive. That would be great. So he overplayed it a little bit with his bishop there, trying to get knockoffs and stuff like that. I don't know why he did that. He pretty much had game if he wanted it. He's going to go back into the Scrafty. And I'm just going to go for another recover here. Get nice and healthy. We don't have the Ice Body or Lefties recovery anymore because of that knockoff. And we can just be really stally and sad and go for these protects and stuff like that. He's just going to go for another Drain Punch. I'm going to go for an Avalanche this turn. Does quite a decent amount to the Scrafty, that's nice. Go for a cover this turn. As he decides to switch out, probably the best move on for him to do. We could trade status here. I feel like it's a good trade at this point. He actually goes for the Taunt. I felt like he probably wanted to Toxic me there. Could go for the Avalanche. I imagine he's going to go for a Toxic. I guess we'll stay in. As he actually just manually switches straight out to that Scrafty, who's going to get hit with an Avalanche and some Toxic. I don't really want anything to switch into it, because if he gets enough HP back from a Drain Punch, he's going to survive. So I'm just going to stay in Avalanche here. So we are able to take out the Scrafty, Avalug, putting in a lot of work. The Taunt has worn off also, which is great. He's going to go into Crawdont this turn, as we're going to go for a Toxic. Toxic stalling our way to victory with this big old Avalug. I'm surprised he's not gone into the Greninja at this point. Hit me on the special side. He actually crits us with the Crunch, which is not great. But he did have to go down sometime, and I was starting to feel bad, actually. Not that I was going to stop doing it, obviously, but still. The Crawdont is in here now, Toxicked, but still posing a big threat to the team. Got to think carefully about what we're going to go into here. Don't want to use the Weavile too soon. He's definitely important against the T-Tar and the Mandibuzz. But Regice could probably cover both of those if he can tank a hit from Tyranitar, that is. I am going to go into Weavile. Exert some pressure. And go for a Poison Jab. As our opponent goes straight into Mandibuzz, which is fine. We're able to poison the Mandibuzz as well, which is fantastic. And we're going to go into... Could go into Regice. I'm going to go into Mamoswine here. As he goes for the Foul Play, which does a lot of damage to us. Huge, huge chunk. We could proceed to Stone Edge here and try and get this Mandibuzz dealt with. That's what I'm going to go for. We do a big chunk to that Mandibuzz, and he actually takes us out. But we can come and revenge with our Weavile here, which we're going to do. Actually, I'm just going to go for the... Oh, I knew I should have used a different move than Ice Shard. Ice Shard only doing 29%, that's 21%, sorry. Not great. But now we should be able to take out this Crawdont. I don't actually know how bulky these things are. I know they're just huge attack stats, pretty much. Let's go for that. As we get hit with an Aqua Jet, we are going to be able to get a double down here, losing our Weavile, our second last poke, and now it's down to Regice to take out 3 dudes here. Let's see if we can do it. We're going to go for a Focus Blast. He goes into the Mega, goes for that big Stone Edge, and it's all over. So there it is. Our Ice team not doing too great. I normally have a lot better results with that Ice team. That last Dark team had a lot for us. It had the Tyranitar, it had the Bishop. Yeah, a lot of threats on that team. So there you go, 2 Dark type Monotype teams, and it was a Flying type as well that beat us against this Ice type team that I've come up with. I've got a bunch of different Monotypes already made, and I'm going to be doing a different one each week. So put a comment down below what you want to see next week. I'll do any type, the most highly requested type, I guess. And hopefully you enjoyed this segment and will enjoy it in the future. Keep on watching. I've been Joe from OmniPoke, and subscribe and stuff like that. See you next time.